Hello and welcome back to Supermarket Together! Anyways, off street, off street, I sort of been sort of just downloaded the latest DLC for this game, and by the latest DLC, I mean this is the only DLC of the game. Okay, what is it that DLC contains? Let's see. This is the lamp I have. This is one of the lamps. And I sort of downloaded the game because I downloaded the DLC because I have a couple of arcade games. And you can now watch YouTube. Or you can now watch YouTube from your favorite game. So you can play. So while you're playing, so while you're boarding of the game, you can also watch right here. So let's say a couple of like an Inception case. Let's see what we can pick. That's how we do not want to have a copyright. No. After they just have some memes. Oh, this will do.
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies.
The funny thing is
I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at the Banana Splits movie, which premiered at Comic-Con in 2019. The Banana Splits movie is based on the Banana Splits Adventure Hour, a Hanna-Barbera jam created by Sid and Marty Krofft that originally aired on NBC from 1968 to 1970. Not gonna lie, I had never heard of this show before this movie came out, but Chelsea was familiar with it, so what the fuck do I know? The show featured the same anthropomorphic furries that are in this feature, and they were in a band, and they would introduce various segments that mostly consisted of cartoons. Cool! How the fuck did this become a horror movie? It may have something to do with Five Nights at Freddy's and its perpetually postponed film adaptation. I guess originally, Warner Brothers was going to make the Five Nights movie, but the rights went to Blumhouse instead, and so Warner Brothers, under their subsidiary Blue Ribbon Content, decided to make a different movie featuring murderous animatronics, and they based it on the Hanna-Barbera show because the Banana Splits characters were already kind of off-putting.
I think that a lot of children's television is innately creepy.
For what it's worth, I think the result is a fine slasher. The writing's a bit forced at times, and there's some wonky editing here and there, but I appreciate the tone it manages to hit. It's cheesy, but not saccharine, self-aware, but not cynical, and funny, but not mean-spirited. Plus, it's got some crazy good gore, so much so that I can't put it all in the public version of this episode. And hey, the score was composed by Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy, who also did an awesome cover of this earworm of a theme song.
Now let's see what happens here.
And that's not the first
Among
time
Place
this
in the
song was
Store-
covered by a rock band either. In Kick-Ass, there was a version done by the Dickies, the band that did the iconic Killer Clowns theme.
42.
If you want to tra-la-la
Okay,
and have
we
a
can
good
do
time
this.
with this movie, though, you're gonna have to buy into it. Which
Okay,
mostly means
just a brown
accepting
sugar.
that the
Let's
Banana
check the brown
Splits
sugar, for
characters
example.
are completely mechanical animatronics, even though they're clearly played by people in suits. But come on, just go with it, because then you get to see stuff like this. That's totally worth it. Let's go on and get and meet the Splits, because it's time to get to the kill.
Yes.
The movie begins with a TV show opening that
Okay,
introduces us to all the members of the Banana Split
Zero.
show. There's a
What
doofy
did I
dog
see
named
earlier?
Fleagle, a crazy ape named Bingo, a
I'm
lion
also going to
named
the store.
Drooper, and a cute
I'm also
elephant
going to the
named
store. I'm also
Snorky.
going to
Am I
the
forgetting anyone?
And featuring Stevie.
Oh shit, of course! Stevie!
Okay.
Guys, I would kill to
And
play Stevie.
Steve.
The Banana Split show is beloved
There
by
we
kids
go.
everywhere. Like Harley here, whose favorite member is Snorky. He's even got a costume of the Trunky bastard. For Harley's birthday, he and his family are going to a live taping of the show. The tickets were bought by Harley's mom Beth, much to the disappointment of Harley's dad Mitch, who thinks that Harley is too old to be into this kind of thing. But I don't know, man, kid's got a unicorn on his cake. Seems like the right age demo to me. Joining Harley for his birthday adventure is his half-brother Austin, son of Beth but not of Mitch, whose best idea for a birthday present is an umbrella without the umbrella part, and a girl from Harley's school named Zoe, called in as a seat warmer when Harley's only real friend got too sick to go.
But that show's for babies.
Oh, and suddenly you're so mature. You have bunnies on your undies.
Blast! Bested by the bunnies once more.
Traffic Stars, innovation in the world of advertising. Welcome. Reach your target audience in one click. Detailed targeting options. Best optimization. Easy moderation.
Traffic Stars. Highway success.
Alright, getting much better. I think you can see how many inventory still in the box.
They arrive at the studio and drive to the back of the lot in a long sequence with a lot of ADR.
The Banana Splits is me and Austin's favorite show. Really?
I'm sure she really loves the show.
I hope Snorky does the Snorky Shuffle. It's so funny.
He's totally gonna do it. He does it every time.
Why is this segment so long? We meet some other wacky characters, also there for the taping, that include Dadager Jonathan, who wants his daughter Parker to be a star, and Thad and Poppy, the type of social media influencers who make me hate it when I'm called a social media influencer. The woman in charge of herding these crazy cats is the studio's Paige named Paige, who Austin kinda hits on, but in a cute, awkward way, which seems to work. I think she's on the same page as you, Austin. The Banana Splits roll up in their little banana buggy and nearly run over Harley, who like, what the fuck are your survival instincts, kid? They drive away from their fans and march their mechanical asses into a workshop where their inventor and maintenance man, Carl,
Okay, this is where
chastises
you
them
look
for almost hitting a kid. He gives Drooper a painful-looking update, during which a random
store,
programming
I get
error
4
turns the
bottles.
code a scary red
Just bought
color.
2
But
more
even though
boxes.
inside his heart is breaking and his faux fur may be flaking, Drooper's
Right there.
smile still stays
And
on because the
this is
show
the number
must
of,
go on. While that Carl guy is the dude
acquired.
who created the Banana Splits animatronics, this Rebecca lady is the person who runs the Banana Split show. That is, until network exec Andy tells her that the
There
show
we go.
is hashtag canceled. What, did Fleagle say something racist? The show's cancellation is kind of the catalyst for the whole movie, but I've gotta say,
Now we
Andy
need-
sounds like he's making
we
it
need
up on
10
the
more
spot
franchise
when he
points for
explains
this.
why he's
Technical
axing a
status.
show
Sorry
that
for doing
apparently
tonight.
still gets
Manager
good
taking the
ratings.
fucking advantage.
Yeah, but it's
I just
old
don't
and
fucking
stupid.
set a time.
And I want to do something cool and edgy, so today's your last show.
The final live show gets started, and the crowd is treated to
Yeah,
a bunch of
um,
wacky hijinks until Drooper misses his
I
cue
think
to
that's
come
it.
on stage, which means Stevie, the baddest motherfucker around, is gonna have to cover for him.
We have to get Drooper out of Mr. Walterscheid's fence. Again.
Haha, great work, Stevie, yeah!
That man dressed like a
Well, yeah, but
Not Stevie. Nobody really likes him.
Hey, nobody really likes you, Harley. How
Here
about
it is.
that? One of the show's
Another-
segments is a game straight
another
out of Double
feature
Dare
is
called
this-
Sloppy Time.
2, 3, 4, 5.
And it
Okay,
looks
then
like they
open
made
it to
them extra sloppy
Then open
for
it to
you.
percentage.
They know how yous kids like 'em sloppy. Yo, and by the way, Carl must be a genius. That is some sophisticated AI to be throwing them pies like that. Obviously, in real life, the banana splits were played by people in suits. And director Danishka Esterhazy decided that instead of actors or even stunt performers, she wanted dancers to play the roles to best mimic the movements of an
Oh, thank God, I'm
animatronic.
not
So
going to
shout
do
out to the dudes
manually
underneath
anymore.
these clunky ass suits. Terry Sauls, Buntu Plam,
Okay, I'm gonna
Corey
watch this
Clark,
one.
and Brandon Bragum. It takes a lot to perform wearing cumbersome costumes like that.
Those things are so hot. I don't know how they're doing it all day. They're really like the heroes of this film, I
Yeah, I
think.
should've just
One of the kid competitors takes a plunge into a ball pit and uses a hammer to win the game.
Oh, at least I have to watch TV while I'm waiting.
If that voice sounds familiar, it's because all three of the Speaking Splits characters were voiced by Eric Bauza, a Canadian voice actor who's done a ton of work and is currently the voice of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Marvin the Martian, and other major Looney Tunes. Those are not easy roles to get. And because I love watching voice actors do their thing, I just want to
Ooh,
commend
that's what happened.
Bauza on all the voices he does here, like how he replicates Alan Melvin's Southern
Ooh,
drawl
nice.
for Drooper.
Okay,
His
then
voice,
now we're ready.
he kind of had the droopy kind of voice, so we kind of had that southern drawl, very slow, and that's what we did.
Does a Ross Perot-ish twist on Dawes Butler's voice for Bingo.
And for that, he was, again, much more high-pitched. Again, a little bit of that weird southern drawl.
And does an excellent imitation of Paul Winchell's Tiggerific voice for Fleagle.
The amount of power and energy that he brings to this character, and then the floppiness of it all. I don't want to spit on you.
As for Snorky, he doesn't talk. Deal with it! Paige goes to Stevie's dressing/janitor room, where she finds him lounging inside looking like a McPoyle. He's drunk and angry because he's fifth billed on the show and gets no respect.
They wait for the puppets. They can wait for me.
Don't you worry about Stevie there, Paige. I mean, look at him. He's the spitting image of professionalism. On his way to the stage, Stevie overhears Andy saying that the show has been canceled and that the animatronics will soon be decommissioned. He walks away, looking way too happy about his imminent job loss, but I guess it's because he's excited that the puppets will soon be no more, since after he returns to the stage for the show's big finale, he whispers to Drooper that his days are numbered. Drooper spins the wheel of endings, which, as always, lands on Rockout. And let me just say, I am living for Stevie's sweaty, drunken dancing montage. Yeah, also, heads up, the Tra-La-La theme song will fucking burrow itself into your brain. You've been warned. The show ends, but there's a special backstage tour awaiting some of the guests who had stars on their tickets. There weren't any stars on Harley's ticket, but Austin is a great older bro and convinced Paige to help him give Harley a birthday surprise. So he gets to be the innocent Charlie Bucket of this wonkin' adventure. Harley Bucket? Backstage, Stevie tells the very regimented Banana Splits gang that their show has been canceled. And since he hated working with all of them, why don't they get a taste of this? Drooper ain't about to put up with that disrespect though, so Stevie becomes our first victim on the count when Drooper sticks a giant lollipop down his throat. I wonder what flavor that oh, cherry. Yep, looks like cherry. But try to eat it a little slower next time, Stevie. During the backstage studio tour, Austin tells his mom that Mitch, his stepdad, fucking sucks. I mean, the guy's not even here with them on his own son's birthday, having stepped away to do business stuff on his phone. But wait a minute, that's not business stuff. That's PG-13 sexting between Mitch and his assistant.
There's hundreds of these.
Wow, man. Hundreds and you're still getting bra pics? Why y'all taking that sexting so slow? Afraid of viruses? Austin comes outside and confronts Mitch, who leaves his wife and stepson with a very optimistic outlook on the situation.
Guess whose night just freed up?
Yeah, that's definitely one way of looking at it. Inside, the tour has fallen apart almost as quickly as Beth and Mitch's marriage, with Jonathan running off to find a producer to look at Parker, Paige chasing after them, and Thad and Poppy leaving to go explore the rest of the studio, for the gram. That leaves Harley and Zoe to meet the Banana Splits by themselves. But even though Drooper's a cool duders to them, Harley really wants to meet Snorky, who's nowhere to be found. He's too busy outside stalking down cheating husband daddies. Jonathan finds Rebecca and, believing her to be the producer who can make his dreams come true, tells Parker to begin their rehearsed routine.
What you gonna do with all that junk inside your truck?
Stop. That is disturbing.
Rebecca tells Jonathan to get the hell out of there because not only is that borderline child abuse, there's also no more show for Parker to be a part of. But Jonathan won't take no for an answer and goes off to look for someone higher up.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thad and Poppy pass by Snorky's Circus and Bingo's Jungle so they can step onto the stage of Fleagle's Magic Shop. All of these sets were created by production designer Bobby Cardoso, who had a great time making TV show sets that could be shown in their entirety, since this movie pulls back the camera and lets us see the whole soundstage. He was especially fond of the playing card spirals on Fleagle's Magic stage here, which is the perfect place for Thad to strike up a live stream and do the one thing I knew I would never do to Chelsea: propose in front of a live internet audience. But you know what? It works for Poppy.
Dad, yes.
Yo, she said yes!
So great, these two are good for each other. That's nice. Too bad Fleagle is here, and he doesn't like people trespassing on his magic stage or live streaming his secrets.
Banana Cadabra!
Presto destructo. Fuck your phone. Fleagle pushes Thad into a magician's box and locks him inside, then forces Poppy to assist him as they reenact that kill from Leprechaun 3 by sawing the magician's assistant in half. With a final push of the saw, Thad is properly killed, which you can tell because he has blood coming out of his mouth. I don't think Poppy's a fan of the trick, but I'm a fan of this movie's practical gore, which Warner Brothers exec Peter Girardi, who helped put this movie together, championed over using CG.
All of the original property of the Banana Splits was all practical, so we wanted to keep that practical nature of it. We wanted it to kind of be true to that era, true to that kind of filmmaking.
Poppy tears off Fleagle's arm flesh, but before he can kill her, he's distracted by the sound of children, since Harley and Zoe are now strolling through the Snorky Circus. Fleagle offers to take them to meet Snorky, and even though he's got a scary Terminator arm, shit man, this kid needs to have some
So
alcohol.
there's one thing about the arcade games.
Jonathan
you can
finds
make your
the
own,
office of Andy
you
the
can make
network
your own
executive
game
and is all ready
gaming
to deliver his
section
Parker
for the
kit, but
game.
the only one there is friggin' Drooper, who
no.
stands up and blows a bunch
Always
of
take the
fire into
distraction,
Jonathan's
that's it.
face. Not the best fire effects here, but I do think it's pretty hilarious how Drooper stands there dancing as this guy's face skin melts off. And then Bingo kidnaps your daughter? Not a good start to showbiz, dude. Outside, Snorky finally decides to openly harass Mitch and chases him through a little ditch thing that the dude obviously should have just jumped out of. Mitch runs all the way to the entrance of the lot where he finds the security guard standing in a corpse at the ready position, because that guy's head is no longer affixed. Man, I always hate the old standing corpse until it's touched thing, almost as much as I hate the Final Destination hit and run thing. We get a character development combo wherein Austin and Beth talk about his late father and how she wants to keep her kids safe after having to watch him die. Then the two of them meet up with Rebecca and Paige before Jonathan stumbles into the mix all burnt up and yelling about Fleagles and shit. So great, these characters finally know that there's something amiss with the Banana Splits. Now they just have to find out that the Splits are collecting kids and putting them in cages.
We're gonna have so much fun!
Beth and Austin look for Harley in Bingo's Jungle, but when Austin gets tied up in Bingo's crazy ape stuff, Beth has to turn into hot action star mom so she can save her kid from the furry.
For you.
It's actually surprising how easy it was for Beth to toss Bingo aside like that. She even de-armed the ape in the process. She and Austin find Poppy still at the side of her
we don't be
slain
bored anymore.
fiance, but since Beth can relate to her, what with the whole dead husband thing, she's able to convince Poppy to go with them so they can all stay safe in numbers. Drooper drags Bingo's body back to the workshop so their banana split daddy Carl can fix that fella up. But good luck getting Carl to do anything right, because he can't even keep the kids from escaping their chain link prison. And instead, he winds up locked inside the equipment cage himself. Aw, if he's stuck in there, he's gonna miss Fleagle's show that's about to begin.
It's sloppy time!
Yeah, it's time for Jonathan and Rebecca to get sloppy. And the Splits are gonna make sure it's all captured on camera, too. Fleagle forces his captives to run the course as Drooper stands back there laughing like a killer clown.
Hey, I'm thinking about something. Okay, we're just going to finish this one
They
YouTube
get to the end of the
video.
course, but the only prize waiting for
let's say
Jonathan
the next day I'm
is
going
a prop key
to
that
give a
Fleagle
try
jams
at
into his
something.
back. Good work, Fleagle. Just keep unlocking more kills for us like that. In fact, let's get Rebecca on the count as well. As she finishes the course, Drooper takes a hammer and smashes her frickin' head open.
He took it down to Hammer Town.
He certainly did, Fleagle. He certainly did. The kids finally run into Harley's favorite split, the inimitable Snorky. But careful now, Harman. You think it's a good idea to approach the Snorkster like that?
It's Snorky. He's different.
But how can you know for sure? Oh, well, water my truck. You know what? Yeah, looks like that's doing the trick.
Are they doing the Snorky Shuffle?
What the fuck it look like, little girl? Of course they're doing the Snorky Shuffle. Having courted the noble Snorky, the kids take his hand and walk away with him into heaven, a place where nothing ever happens. The adult survivors go to Carl's workshop, where they find the mad scientist still locked in his cage. He laughs at them and tells them that the show must go on. It sounds like it is, because now they're hearing some music coming from a basement they discover underneath a hidden door.
What's down there? The show.
Beth, Austin, and Paige arm themselves and climb down, but before Poppy can join them, she finds Carl's prototype of Hootie, a fifth banana split that he had been in the process of designing. Poppy takes it upon herself to become the Hootie. And wow, she learns the way of the banana split's lickety-split, since she immediately gets herself a kill by swiping at Carl with some razor claws. Mother, son, and Paige make their way underground until Paige slips on some blood and discovers Doug, her fellow studio Paige, dead on the ground with Bingo's drumsticks in his eyes. Paige then looks up further to see that, oh, what the fuck? Come on! She sees, I think, 18 more bodies next to Doug's. All the other employees and adult audience members from the show. It's pretty hard to accurately count them, given the multiple angles and tangled limbs, but I did my due diligence. Don't expect a gender breakdown, though. Moving on down the tunnel, they come up through the floor into a boiler room with a makeshift stage, upon which Fleagle is holding court. He and Drooper terrify their child audience with a dead Stevie on a tricycle as they do some kind of fun sketch where they get to play the Grady sisters.
Now the show can go on forever and ever and ever.
While they blow Stevie's body away with a huge-ass motherfucking flame, Beth makes her way to the captive kids and tries to break them free with her monkey wrench. Before she can rescue those kids, though, Snorky shows up with even more kids to imprison. But since Harley's worked his Snorky Shuffle magic, the pachyderm quietly gives him a key. Drooper and Fleagle bring out an all-new Wheel of Endings with Andy the network exec attached to the spokes. They spin it, and for once, it doesn't land on Rockout. Instead, the outcome is a banana split. And if you can't guess what that means, well, you know what? You're not even really trying. Because these furry freaks rip Andy off of their saw trap, and Banana split him right up by tearing off all of his limbs. If it's one thing you've got to give this movie credit for, it's the very well done practical gore. Thanks to Snorky keys and mommy wrenches, all the kids are able to break free of their chains. Beth instructs Austin to help them get out of there, but she's got some more kick-ass mom stuff to do, namely beating these banana splits silly. The animatronics eventually gain the upper hand and are all ready to torch Beth to death, but that's when Austin returns and puts down Fleagle with a crowbar through the head. Harley provides Beth some assistance by tossing her his little birthday wand thing, and she uses that to kill Drooper by deploying it through his mouth. And no, sorry, the banana splits aren't going on the count. They're just a bunch of fucking robots, and they're not even trying to be human like the androids and aliens. So I don't want to hear it. Just when you think this family's safe, bingo, bango, bongo. There's a crazy ape who's come back to block their path. Thankfully, Snorky the Innocent interferes, and the two of them get into an all-out furry fight! They pretty much yiff each other to death, leaving both of them broken on the ground. Heartbroken, Harley says goodbye to Snorky right before the elephant goes the way of Topsy.
You'll always be my favorite.
We get one of those crime scene wrap-up shots where we see what's become of all the characters. Parker tells her mom that she wants to quit acting, Zoe and Harley become good friends, and Austin scores a kiss with Paige. Oh, and look at this, Mitch is still alive. Though not for long. Nah, that punch from Beth didn't kill him or nothing. But after all the emergency vehicles drive away, and he's left limping after them, Mitch does get killed by another Final Destination style hit and run. Damn, dude, should have just cut your losses and limped away to be with your assistant. The movie ends with the reveal of who's driving this cart full of furry corpses. Yep, a deranged looking Poppy, ready to be the 5th Banana Split. How many people were killed in the resurrection of the Banana Splits property? Let's find out and tra-la-la to the numbers. Tra-la-la, la-la-la-la, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. From what I could tell, there were 27 deaths in the Banana Splits movie. Aside from that pile of 18 bodies, we had 8 male victims and only a single female victim, giving us a very unevenly banana split pie chart. With a runtime of 90 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 3.33 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Andy. This movie's all about escalation, and his brutal death in the boiler room is the climax of this film's horror. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to Carl, since he was partially responsible for all this madness, and yet was killed all too mercifully off screen. And that's it. The Banana Splits movie came out in 2019, and although it's a little stupid, I think it's a fun kind of dumb. If you like little kids dealing with evil AI, well, you're in luck, because next week we're finally covering the Child's Play reboot, and I've got some thoughts about it. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching The Kill Count for the Banana Splits movie. I want to thank some patrons like Liam Ward, Toastface, Harlan Coy, Nicholas Sturzo, Ellie Wells, and Brandon Priester. The rest of the year is all one-offs, and I'm trying to make the movies that people have really requested. Which Banana Split was your favorite? I'm with Harley. Snorky's dope as fuck. Thanks everyone, be good people.
The new Del Monte Fruity Zing. Double flavors, double refresh Zing. 25 pesos lang. Bili na.
Let's check about the... And I got it covered! Let's see... placeholder videos... Oh! Oh! I have to, let's say, open one for a while. There we go. I want to make works. Okay, let's say I give it a try. URL video, folder, blah 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 blah. Let's see. Pick one video. I wonder if I could pick the name. Yeah, we can't drag. Let's see. Wonder if how can I get the name? There we go. Wonder if it works. Oh my god, it works! Okay, let's pick another one. Okay, let's pick another one. I'm going to make. Okay, I was thinking about making it as a theme for our marketing team. So, I have a couple of shorts around YouTube, and I was thinking about maybe outside some people will be seeing my. Well. Why? There we go. Now this is an advertisement. Look at this. Well, I won't be having any problem anymore with the advertising. I can just create my own tea. You want coffee? I make coffee. Yeah, with the mocha cup. Well, I guess I could make a I could make a compilation video for this. Because I'm not even sure if I can do a playlist in this. I love the new DLC. I love the DLC included. Well, anyways, it's just like a I checked it out. It was like $2 to 2.50 cents, 2.50 cents in the US. No, Now let's see which one is emptied out. Well, I guess my job is easier now. Okay, better change for a while. We don't want we don't want the we don't want our customers to be bored on the same loop over and over. I wonder we can play a playlist. Well, which horror movie you want to watch? Let's see, I wonder if we can find the Nightmare on Elm Street because, well, Freddy just getting a new buff and Dead by Daylight. I wonder if it's here we go! Enjoy!
Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today, my friends, today is a very special day, because we're looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1984 monster written and directed by Wes Craven that gave the world Freddy Krueger. Throughout the years, Fred Krueger and his sweater-wearing, finger-knife-tearing, dreaming parent self has become one of the most recognizable figures in all of pop culture. And it's not surprising, given the franchise's run of 9 films, including a crossover and a reboot, 2 seasons of the TV show Freddy's Nightmares, a video game of his own, as well as a character in many others, and all other sorts of appearances in pop culture. But the other thing that makes the Springwood slasher so memorable is that he's not just a guy in a mask played by mostly interchangeable actors. Freddy is given life and a huge personality by the classically trained Robert Englund, who portrayed the character in every film appearance until the remake. Although the series would eventually spiral out of control with a messy mythos and a completely cartoon-like Freddy, none of that can take away from the stunning accomplishment that is Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. With all that in mind, let us begin this journey and get to the kills. The movie begins with some picture-in-picture shots of a dude hard at work. What you got there, disembodied hands? Couple of knife blades? An old leather glove? Well, you make do with what you have, and voila! We've got the finger knife glove, the most iconic murder weapon in horror history. Title card on Elm Street. Right off the bat, we're in a dream, which is pretty obvious since nightgowns aren't your usual boiler room apparel. Also, there's a sheet. Our ill-dressed protagonist is Tina Gray, and she's being tormented by a fella wearing those Pinterest murder gloves. Better run as fast as you can, Tina. No, like run. For real. Like really run. What are you doing? Right when it looks like she's safe, her tormentor jumps up behind her, but then she wakes up from her dream. But wait a minute, how could that have just been a dream if her nightgown got torn like that? Tina grabs her crucifix for comfort as we're introduced to Springwood's newest sensation, the Jump Rope Girls, in their glossy premiere music video. Tina and her friends are jamming out to that track when they pull up to go to school the next day. What, they just get to park right there on the street? Tina's telling Nancy Thompson and Glenn Lance about her nightmare, with Nancy confiding she had one too, when they're joined by Rod Lane.
I had a hard-on this morning when I woke up, Tina. Had your name written all over it.
There's 4 letters in my name, Rod. How could there be room on your joint for 4 letters?
Oh cool, teenage characters that are funny and likable. Thanks as always, Wes Craven.
And
ready to invest in real estate but don't want the hassle? Look no further and join SmartCrowd. Invest in Dubai properties and enjoy monthly returns. No running around, no paperwork, just simple investing from anywhere at any time.
Nancy tells Tina not to worry because everyone has bad dreams once in a while. And Glenn's like, yeah, one time I dreamt that I grew up and starred in a movie called Mordecai. Then he runs off to go practice his pirate swagger and eccentric voices. That night, when they're all hanging out at Tina's place, she and Nancy learn that both their dreams feature the same long fingernailed freak.
Actually, they were more like finger knives or something.
Oh, sorry, Nancy. Finger knives. Friggin' know-it-all. Want to tell me what they sound like, too? Glenn's skeptical that they dreamt of the same dude, but then they hear that scree coming from out back. They go outside and Glenn makes the least threatening threat I've ever heard.
I'm gonna punch out your ugly lights, whoever you are.
And then gets friggin' sacked by Rod, who's there to bang girls and style his pompadour. And he's all out of pomade.
So what's going on here, an orgy or something?
Rod the type of guy to make screeching noises with a garden tool and pull a fucking switchblade on another dude, but Tina's still down to bone him anyway. Glenn tries to get in on the action too, but Nancy ain't having it, cause she's a good girl. So he just has to lie there at night with his aching blue balls and listen to the loud ass moaning going on from upstairs, where Rod bangs the grammar out of Tina.
Jungle Man, fix change.
She wakes up later to some rocks hitting her window, and if the elastic wall over Nancy is any indication, it looks like Freddy's trying to pay a visit. Nancy covers that shit with the man JC in the first instance of a Catholic connection to Fred Krueger that'll strangely grow throughout the series. We're only 15 minutes into the movie, and we're already about to get one of the most infamous scenes of horror. Tina wanders outside to confront her dream man, and when she steps into an alley, a fedora shadow appears behind her. It's Freddy Krueger's first appearance, and it's dark and scary, and wait, what the fuck? Why does he look like Stretch Armstrong? No, seriously. Yeah, I mean, sure, the sparking finger knives are scary, and his first line's pretty cool.
Please, God.
This is God.
But then he's running like a drunk uncle playing around with his infant nephew as he chases Tina down the alleyway. I'm not trying to shit on Freddy's first appearance. I think it's awesome, and it's got a ton of great moments, like when he shows off his masochism to Tina by slicing off his fingers, or when she rips off his face to reveal a creepy skeleton puppet behind it. But even those are a little silly. And I'm just pointing out that even from his first appearance, he's always had a little bit of goofiness to him. But unlike in later films, this Freddy's still scary as fuck. Rod wakes up to find Tina thrashing around and is unable to see Freddy murdering her when her chest erupts open with 4 slash marks. Then she starts levitating above the bed and her body smacks Rod across the room. In one of the best kills I've ever seen, Tina is slowly dragged up the wall of her room, which they accomplished by building a freaking rotating room and nailing down the furniture and cameras in place while they turned it. Tina winds up on the ceiling, reaching out to Rod for help as he screams her name, but there's nothing he can do, and she falls to the bed dead. An amazing first kill to start a franchise with. Glenn and Nancy bust in the room to find Tina dead on the floor and Rod nowhere to be found. So Nancy goes to the police station where her dad, Lieutenant Donald Thompson, is taking on the case. He and her mom, Marge, don't get along, but they do agree on the fact that Rod's the murderer, even after Nancy says the earlier fight Tina and Rod had wasn't that serious.
Maybe you don't think murder is serious.
Oh, what the fuck, Marge? Don't mind her. She's probably just drunk. No, for real. The next morning, she's boozing for breakfast. She tries to get Nancy to stay home from school, but Nancy, sleep deprived from staying up, would probably rather learn geometry than get her makeup melted off by her mom's vodka breath. On the way to school, Nancy's being followed by a cop and abducted by a greaser, which we call real social of a day. Rod tells Nancy he's innocent, but before he can properly make a case, Lieutenant Thompson pops out and Rod winds up being arrested in the middle of the road. Pop Thompson turns to Nancy and is like, great bait, mate. Better get to school before you're late. In demonology class with her teacher Elise Ranger, Nancy has a hard time staying awake, even though the kid reading in front of the class is wearing the loudest shirt I've ever seen. But she eventually falls asleep, which gives us more fun dream stuff, like Tina in a bloody body bag saying, what up, to Nancy. When Nance follows her out into the hallway, we get another indelible image, the body bag being dragged away around the corner by an invisible force. Nancy runs to follow it, but she smacks into a hall monitor wearing a very familiar outfit.
Where's your past? Screw your past.
Better watch that attitude, Nancy. That monitor's been ordained in the Church of Finger Knives. Nancy follows the blood trail downstairs into the boiler room where she runs into Fred Krueger for herself. He's still on that masochism kick and shows Nancy he's got a bunch of oozy maggots behind his nipples. Yuck. Then he comes after her and corners her in the boiler room, and the only way Nancy avoids his glove and his waggly tongue is by burning herself against a hot pipe, which wakes herself up out of the dream. She sees that her dream injury followed her into the real world, so she visits Rod in jail again to hear him out. He tells her that Tina died from 4 slashes all at once, and further elaborates that he's also dreamt of a guy with knives for fingers. So Nancy finally begins to realize just how deep of shit they're all in. And it's pretty deep! That night she's enjoying some tubby time with her favorite blue bath pillow when she falls asleep, and Freddy gets real suggestive with his glove. Before things can get explicit, Nancy's woken up by her mom warning her about sleepy people drowning in baths, but Nancy doesn't heed her warning and falls asleep again. And this time Fred gets straight to business and pulls her underwater, turning her tub into a deep blue sea and nearly drowning her in the bath. She's able to escape, but she ain't taking chances no more. Better break out these convenient stay awake pills behind the mirror. They act be fast. She gets a bedtime visit from Glenn, who still doesn't buy into all this dream murder stuff, so he's probably not the best person to ask to stand guard for you while you go on a dream journey, Nancy. But since he's the only option she has, they turn off the lights and she tells him to wake her up if she starts sleep freaking. In her dream, she goes outside and winds up at the police station where she peeps in on Rod, fast asleep on his jail cot. Oh, and look, he's got a visitor. Wonder if it's conjugal. Nancy starts calling out for Glenn, but to no avail. Then Tina shows up again and gets all buggy, spitting out centipedes and turning into eels and shit. Is this what your dreams are like? What did you eat before bed, Nancy? Freddy pops out and begins another chase sequence that leads Nancy to her home, where she tries to run upstairs only to find the steps have been turned into blocks of toothpaste. Freddy uses a very unconvincing mask and pretends to be Tina for a minute.
Nancy, help me, please.
Until he gets bored role-playing and just wants to be himself again.
Save me from
Freddy.
Nancy finally gets upstairs only to find Glenn asleep, and when she tries to wake herself up in the mirror, she instead gets attacked by Freddy, who jumps through it and pins her down on the bed. They have a feathery pillow fight, which looks like lots of fun, but before Freddy can close the deal, Nancy's alarm clock goes off and wakes her up. She yells at Glenn because he had one job.
you shit.
When she sees a remnant of her Freddy fun time, she realizes Rod is in danger. They go to the police station but get held up by Nancy's dad, who's working late on the case, so they're unable to get back to Rod as he's being visited by Freddy via a very phallic rolled up bedsheet that wraps around his neck. He tightens and strangles him, then drags him across the floor and up the wall to hang him to death. They all find Rod dead via hanging in the jail cell, giving us another kill to chalk up on the board. I guess he couldn't stay golden. After Rod's funeral, Nancy describes her dream stalker to her dad, who looks at Marge nervously as Nance goes into detail about the hat and the sweater and the finger knife glove. Mama Marge says it's time for Nancy to get help, so off to the Katja Institute for some science. Nancy goes to sleep under supervision, but when she slips into REM sleep, her charts start going all earthquakey, and she convulses violently in bed. Marge and the doctors wake her up to find 3 things. Number 1, Nancy's hair is now white. It just might remain that white for the rest of her days. Number 2, I don't really have Hamilton lyrics for 2 or 3, but she's got a slash on her arm, and she's pulled Freddy's fedora out of her dreams and into reality. But Nancy, how will he milady his way around Dreamworld now? The next morning, after Nancy shows Marge the name Fred Krueger is written inside the hat, you know, in case Fred ever had a coat check, I guess, Marge says he's not a threat because Fred Krueger is dead. And Nancy gets real mad that Marge has known about this dude the whole time. So mad that she smashes Marge's handle on the floor. Oh, that liquor's coming out of your allowance, young lady. Later on, after a scene very obviously shot in Venice Beach, despite the film's apparent Ohio setting, Nancy comes home to find the windows on her house have wrought iron bars covering them. Looks like Mama Marge got drunk and installed a new security system in, what, a single afternoon? And they say alcohol's a depressant. Marge takes Nancy down to the basement to finally fill her in on Fred Krueger's backstory.
He was a filthy child murderer who killed at least 20 kids in the neighborhood.
Ho, heavy shit. But note that here they only mention child murder. Still not great by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't until the reboot that Freddy explicitly became even more of a monster. Nancy asks if the justice system did its job, but sounds like it didn't.
The lawyers got fat and the judge got famous, but somebody forgot to sign the search warrant in the right place and Krueger was free just like that.
So Marge admits that the parents trapped Freddy in an old warehouse and burned the mother down with him inside, killing him in the fire and taking for a death trophy his finger knife glove. Nancy calls Glenn, who, oh yeah, lives across the street in a crop top paradise, and tells him who Freddy is and how she plans to kill him. She's gonna grab him and pull him out of her dreams into the real world, and then I guess Glenn's supposed to do the dirty work?
I grab the guy in my dream. You see me struggling, so you wake me up. We both come out, you whack the fucker, and we got him.
I still wouldn't be trusting this dude after he fell asleep last time, but Nancy gives him another chance and says to meet her on the porch at midnight.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Marge puts Nancy to bed and cleans up her coffeeware, not knowing that as soon as she's out of the room, Nancy's about to pull out her backup supply to get another fix of that sweet, sweet Joe. When it gets closer to midnight, Nancy goes to sneak out, only to be thwarted by Marge breaking out her own backup supply of essential fluids. She tries to call Glenn, but that fucking fuck-ass has fallen asleep again, so Glenn's dad answers the phone and tells Nancy to leave them alone, then takes the phone off the ringer so she can't call back anymore. Nancy gets a call back though, only it's a horrible nail-screeching noise that causes her to rip the phone line out of the wall. That doesn't stop the phone from ringing again though. Spooky. Better take that call, Nance. Must be pretty important. Aw, tongue on the first kiss, Fred. Slow that shit down. Nancy runs downstairs to find that she's been locked inside her own house by Marge, who's 2 sheets to the wind on the couch.
Lock.
Then we finally get to see Glenn pay for never being able to stay the fuck awake when he gets sucked into his bed by Freddy's arm. His mattress turns into a straight up Serta sinkhole, and then a gory geyser as it erupts with blood, covering the ceiling and the walls of Glenn's room with his innards. It's a fascinating kill that used the same upside down room that Tina's kill did, only this one got a little out of control, shocking some crew members with the electrified blood water and tilting the room off balance when the blood pooled to one side. Thus the even weirder imagery of all that blood sliding off at an angle. This kill is an absolute classic. After Nancy's dad gets to Glenn's house, she calls him and tells him that now it's his job to whack the fucker when she pulls him out of her dream. But he just gives her some half-assed assurance that he will, then sends his deputy outside to keep an eye on her house. Now it's time for a Home Alone sequence. I feel like the 80s went on a real kick with kids and teenagers setting booby traps all over their houses. Anyone ever see the Bizarre Little Monsters with Fred Savage? Same type of shit, man. Of course, Nancy's traps have a bit more of a you're next edge to them. Before the fun and games begin, she puts Marge to bed, and they have a heart-to-heart where they mostly make up. Yeah, Marge, maybe put down the bottle of bed vodka, huh? Leave it for the morning. Hair of the dog and all. Nancy sets a couple of alarms and casts off to Dreamland. She goes to her dream basement where the dream finger knives are missing. Then a dream door leads her to a dream boiler room because when you have this place as a shooting location, you might as well get a lot of use out of it. Freddy shows up and chases her, scaring her off a platform that lands her back in her front yard. Right before her alarm goes off, though, he shows up again and she leaps on him to try to bring him back to her world. She wakes up in bed and it looks like nothing really happened. How do you explain that one, Nancy?
I'm crazy after all.
Yeah. Crazy like a fox. We get a great Final Girl sequence here, beginning with Nancy smashing a glass over Fred's head. A cop across the street ignores her pleas for help, so Fred finds the time to escape her room, only to get hit in the stomach with her sledgehammer trap, fall backwards down the stairs, and trip over a wire, igniting a lamp full of gunpowder. God damn, Freddy, you clumsy as hell in the real world. They wind up in the basement where Nancy douses Fred with gasoline and lights him on fire. And you wouldn't like Freddy when he's on fire, because he's about 20 pounds heavier in the face and it looks fucking weird. It's actually an amazing fire stunt performed by Tony Cesare, who did stunts in The Thing and played Ghostface in the first 2 screens. Dude tumbles down the stairs while on fire, then begins to climb up them again, all of which was done in a single take. That's some Kane Hodder level stunt work, son. The cops finally take the screaming teenage girl seriously when they see her friggin' house is on fire, but if those burning footsteps are any indication, it looks like Freddy's escaped the basement and gone upstairs to go after Marge. Nancy walks in to find a flaming Freddy straddling her mother, and after Donald rushes in and puts out the fire with a sheet, they pull it back to find Marge's charred corpse floating over an eerie abyss. It sinks down into nothingness, and her death concludes with the bed returning to normal.
How do you believe me?
Yeah, you kinda owe your daughter for life for this one, Lieutenant. Nancy sends her dad downstairs because she knows she's gotta finish this shit. She turns her back to the bed and allows Freddy to rise up from it, tearing his way out of the sheets like an impatient murdering newborn. But she tells him that it's too late for him to get her, and that the whole thing is just a dream.
I take back every bit of energy I gave you.
Quite a gamble. Let's see if it pays off. And it does! Wow, unexpected static effects there. She walks out of the bedroom and right onto her front porch, where it's a sunny day and her mom hasn't yet been barbecued. Good deal. Oh, and look, all her friends are alive too. Wow, Nance, you made out like a bandit with this ending. Should I take back all those kills from the count? Eh, not so fast, first timers, because it looks like Glenn is driving a Fredsmobile, and it don't want that top down at all. To be honest, this whole end tag scene is kind of a senseless mess that was only tacked on due to producer Bob Shaye's insistence. Wes Craven was not a fan of watching a possessed car drive off with his heroine screaming. Even worse is what happens after Marge sees the Jump Rope Girls singing their one-hit wonder. Watch this mannequin in just a second. Oh god, it looks so bad. One last time in slow motion. Oof. Kind of a crap ending to stick on one of the greatest horror movies of all time, but you know what? It doesn't negate the kills. So let's see how many we've got at the numbers. 4 people died in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, which is low, but surprisingly not the lowest in the series. Of the victims, 2 were men and 2 were women, making Freddy a certified equal opportunity murderer. With a runtime of 91 minutes, that comes out to a kill on average every 22.75 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill to Glenn. It was tough between his and Tina's death since they're both absolutely incredible, but this one might have just won out because of the accidental slide all the blood does at the end. It just looks so damn cool. Dalma Shea for lamest death goes to Rod. It's a fine kill, but compared to the other 3, it's the least memorable. And that's it. Nightmare on Elm Street was released in 1984 and single-handedly launched New Line Cinema into the big leagues of production companies. It also spawned a whole bunch of sequels, and we'll cover the first one, Freddy's Revenge, next Friday. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching my Kill Count for A Nightmare on Elm Street. I want to thank a couple of my patrons, like Patrick Janeway and Stephen Kalinowski. Due to me making a request too late, I had to settle for this plastic finger knife glove for this first video, but I have like an exact replica coming in the mail from RazorGloves.com. Special thanks to Chris, who was sending it my way, and I will be featuring the hell out of it in these videos. I'm also just really excited for this series. I hope you are too. Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and the shirt will make sense later. Today we're looking at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. As soon as the original Nightmare made New Line executive Bob Shaye a buttload of money, he knew he wanted a sequel, so he ditched Wes Craven and bought a script from writer David Chaskin that had nothing to do with Nancy Thompson, and instead focused on a young boy named Jesse Walsh who moves into Nancy's house 5 years after her apparent defeat of Freddy Krueger. Freddy's Revenge has a rightfully earned reputation as one of the gayest horror movies ever made. The story goes that Chaskin wrote the screenplay with some homoerotic subtext that quickly became supertext during production, while the director and producers claimed they had no idea at the time. The whole thing was a major headache for actor Mark Patton, who was gay but not completely out at the time, as he played Jesse, a role he has since embraced as making him the first male Scream Queen. I friggin' love that a movie this gay managed to sneak its way into theaters in the middle of the Reagan era, but you know what else I love about it? The kills, so let's get to them. The movie begins with a Bluebird bus rolling down a suburban street. Better watch out, driver, you're headed straight for a title car. Eventually, there's only 3 kids left on the bus. These 2 Valley girls and the hero of our story, Jesse Walsh, who's not exactly a popular guy, it looks like. The girls take a break from laughing at Jesse when the bus blows by their stop.
Hey driver, that was my stop. Driver, that was my stop.
And keeps going straight into the freaking desert. Where did that come from? The bus zooms past some Joshua trees as a close-up shows us what we've already guessed by now. That bus driver is none other than Frederick Krueger. The bus skids to a stop and the kids watch out the windows as the ground opens up around them, eventually leaving the bus balancing precariously on a couple of tall rock spires in a shot that looks straight out of Clash of the Titans. Freddy gets up to stalk towards the kids, laughing his Freddy laugh and fucking up the upholstery with his finger knives. When he goes in for the fatal slash, we cut to a tomato being sliced. That's fun. And the Walsh family hearing a scream from upstairs. God, I love Jesse's scream. He wakes up in a sweat, and in our first little dollop of, hey, this movie might not focus on the same kind of sexuality as most, Jesse stands up in his tighty whities, and the camera lingers long enough for him to adjust himself. He comes downstairs and gets disciplined by his dad for not having his room unpacked yet when their doorbell rings. It's their rich neighbor Lisa, and she's ready to go to school with Jesse. And how rich is she? Get a load of this pool in her backyard. Holy shit, Lisa, what do your parents do for work? With that kind of wealth, I don't know why she's carpooling with Jesse in his shithouse car that starts with some button mashing and leaves behind the smoke monster from Lost as it drives off. At school, Jesse and the boys are playing baseball. My favorite character, Ron Grady, is up to bat. His hit winds up bonking Jesse on the head, and after that bonk and Jesse tagging Grady out, they get into a tiff that gives us our first man-ass of the movie. But not our last. They wrestle around in the dirt some more like they're the best of friends until, oh shit, Adidas coming! Coach Schneider pulls the 2 apart with the first of many suggestive lines in this movie.
Assume the position.
And assume it they do. Kinda. Is that supposed to be a plank, boys? Get those butts out. As they lie there fucking up their lower backs, the 2 talk about how Schneider hangs out at S&M joints downtown, apparently, and end up becoming friends after some back and forth ribbing.
Look, Grady, you got some problem with me? No, bro. Just killing time.
In the locker room, Grady tells Jesse the history behind the house he's just moved into, about how a girl saw her boyfriend get murdered across the street and went crazy while locked inside by her mom. Sure enough, the house still has the Mama Marge bars on the window, and after Jesse can't sleep, he goes downstairs and winds up outside where he sees through the basement window Freddy messing around with his furnace. Hope you're gonna help with those heating bills, Mr. Krueger. Back inside, Jesse runs right into Freddy, darker and more serious than ever. In fact, this movie's probably got the least comical Freddy of the series. He growls to Jesse that he needs him.
You've got the body, I've got the brain.
Yeah, keep that screaming coming, dude. Jesse wakes up with no harm done, except for some more sweat stains on his sheets. The next day, Jesse tries to go meet up with Lisa, but Daddy Walsh says he has to unpack and clean his room instead. Thanks, Dad, because you just gave us another bewildering sequence that begins with a cassette of Fonda Ray and another stealthy Adidas advertisement. With the help of some sunglasses, Jesse gets dance cleaning to a song called Touch Me All Night Long, and while mouthing those suggestive lyrics, we get some butt close-ups and some phallic mini-bat wiggling. It's a damn shame when his thrusting is cut off by his mom and Lisa entering his room. Hey, don't be ashamed, dude. Nothing wrong with pretending you got a mini-bat dick. After Lisa helps him finish cleaning, she finds something in the closet. No, not Jesse himself, nor that game hilariously named Probe, but a diary from 5 years ago that belonged to Nancy Thompson. When one of her entries mentions a dude named Fred who's got steel claws and hangs out in a boiler room, Jesse goes catatonic, and before you know it, he's got the night sweats again. And the shit in his room is all melty? Well, that's what happens when you buy Crayola brand baseball helmets and records made of asphalt. He goes downstairs to the old furnace where he pulls out an early Christmas gift from Freddy. Open that shit up, Jesse. It's some authentic finger knives. Hope you got them from RazorGloves.com because those gloves are dope. Freddy shows up and encourages him to have fun.
Try it on the side.
Jesse's able to resist Freddy, but not gravity. But even after Freddy disappears, that kill glove is still hanging out there. At school, Jesse gives Nancy's diary to Lisa, and her friend Carrie mentions Lisa's upcoming party, so I guess we know where Act 3 is gonna take place. Yo, but fuck seeing another day. Let's jump back to Jesse's home that night, where Mama Walsh puts the family birds to bed, only for the birdcage to start shaking all crazy. Jesse unveils the animals to find one of them dead and the other stone cold crazy, you know. It flies around doing some great bird acting, friggin' drifting and shit, before it suddenly suddenly spontaneously combusts. What? Bird bomb? At least that's what Mr. Walsh thinks, blaming Jesse for the whole thing as though blowing up birds is just a common schoolboy prank. Hey, how about another scene with Jesse waking up sweaty? Here you go. Once again, he wanders downstairs, but this time some random kitchen lightning convinces him to take a walk outside in the rain. His wet night stroll leads him to Don's place, a kinky leather bar where there are no less than 2 David Bowies hanging out. Sign me up. Working the bar is producer Bob Shea in a leather-tastic cameo, and he gives Jesse a beer without even carding this baby face. But as Jesse goes to drink it, he runs into some trouble. It's Coach Schneider. Oh shit, Adidas coming. Schneider takes Jesse to the school and makes him do laps. A weird after-hours punishment made even weirder by the fact that he doesn't even change out of his daddy outfit to dole it out. Come on, dude, your sweet friggin' Adidas shirt is hanging right there. Stuff in his office starts getting all spooky, and he gets a bunch of balls thrown at him, which, to be fair, is probably how he expected this night to end anyway. Hey, a jump rope puts him in bondage and starts dragging him out of the office. Hit the shower, Schneider. He slides right in there next to Jesse and is then magically stripped for another man-ass occurrence. Maybe this episode should be the man-ass count, where we tally up the man-asses in all our favorite Freddy sequels. Schneider gets flogged by towels as Jesse watches, and right as you're starting to feel bad for the guy, Freddy joins the party to make things even weirder. He raises his glove and slashes him across the back. Cue showers spraying out blood, cue one more shot of man-ass, and cue Jesse with the Freddy glove on his hand? Why don't you tell us how this sudden turn of events makes you feel, Jesse? Normally after a scene like this, the protagonist wakes up in bed, but instead, Jesse's parents answer the door to find him in the middle of a Springwood PD sandwich. The cops say they found him outside wandering around naked, and his parents are pretty concerned, thinking he's taken some serious drugs. But the only thing Jesse's on is Special K, and that K is for Kruger. The next day, there's a bunch of cops at school, and Grady tells Jesse that Coach Schneider was found dead in the showers. But instead of seeing Jesse go through another day, why don't we cut straight to the chase and get more shots of him sweating in bed? Yeah, that's pretty good. Oh, and could you just tilt straight down to his junk? Perfect. And for any straight guys complaining about how this is super gay, which it totally is, just think about how every other movie shoots the female characters like this. You can live with one movie catering to the ladies and gay dudes. It's okay. It ain't gonna hurt you. Jesse opens his desk drawer to find a very active finger knife glove inside, and then he hears Freddy's voice inside his head. He goes into his sister's room where he finds her practicing to audition for the jump rope role. I think she'll make the cut. And now it's morning. God damn, this movie just plows through days and nights. Jesse and Lisa drive to an old power plant where Lisa says Fred Krueger used to work. Hey, what do you mean by work, Lisa?
Fred Krueger kidnapped 20 kids and brought them here and killed them.
I think that was more of like a hobby for him. It's not like it paid the bills or anything. Lisa asks Jesse if he feels anything, but even though he doesn't, she does. That bod of his, that is. Then we're back in the Walsh basement where the furnace kicks off a first-person POV shot that goes upstairs and into Jesse's sister's room.
Wake up, little girl.
She does, but she seems pretty chill. Probably because it's just her sweaty bro Jesse. And if she's anything like this movie's audience, she's already seen that shit 1,000 times. Oh, but he is wearing that finger knife glove. Better hide that from sis, dude. He goes to his room and uses Sta-Up pills and coke to get through the night. The Santa Claus coke, not the nose candy kind. Let's get to the party that was promised, where Lisa's dad is playing old-timey jazz and serving up burgers to his daughter's teenage friends. Mom does Lisa a solid and carts her dad off to bed. And as soon as those crazy kids see the lights go off in the parents' bedroom, they crank up the tunes and break out the beer. Apparently forgetting that sound waves tend to travel. Lucky for them, Lisa's mom don't give a fuck. Meanwhile, Jesse sulks himself into the cabana and Lisa follows to talk to him. Check out this fun little bit of filmmaking, with some ferns casting a finger knife looking shadow against the wall in front of Jesse's silhouette. Well done, director Jack Shoulder. The kids end up making out, but right as Jesse begins to board the USS motorboat, things get weird. Yeah, maybe save that party trick for a little later, Jesse. No need to pull out all the stops right away. His Gene Simmons simulation leaves him feeling freaked out, so he runs off, leaving Lisa alone on the cabana floor so he can break into Grady's room and get up close and personal. He tells Grady, who's got some dope-ass posters in his room, including a Frank Zappa one and a Bowie one, even though tonight was definitely a bottom 2 if you don't count Tin Machine, that he killed Schneider and nearly killed his sister.
Something is trying to get inside my body. Yeah, and she's female and she's waiting for you in the cabana. And you want to sleep with me.
But their lover's quarrel dies down, and Jesse puts Grady on Glenn detail, telling him to wake him up if it looks like things are going wrong. But let's be real, man, it's 1985, there ain't no Reddit to browse or Netflix to watch, and at this time of night, ain't shit on TV. So what's a young Grady supposed to do to stay awake? Yeah, he doesn't know either, so he pulls a Glenn and goes to sleep. Jesse wakes up, which wakes up Grady, and although it looks like Jesse just has some indigestion, it's actually way worse than anything Pepto-Bismol can solve. He's got nails growing out of his fingers, and his whole friggin' arm is erupting into nastiness. Ew! Grady pounds on the door door to get out, but I spy with my back of throat eye something that tells me Grady gon' die. It's Freddy's freaking face coming out of Jesse's torso like it's a bedroom wall without a crucifix. Yo, Jesse, how about giving the guy some air? Thank you, that's more like it. Freddy climbs out of his Jesse shell and stretches, because living inside a teenage boy that long will give you such a crick in the neck. Freddy, true to part 2's darker focus on terror, cracks no jokes as he grabs Grady by the throat and raises him against the door. Next thing you know, finger knives are busting out the other side and Grady's spitting up blood. The stabbing takes place just below screen, but it's still a cool way to shoot this kill, and we get the gore we're looking for when Grady's body slinks to the floor. Freddy waves at himself in the mirror, but wait a minute, he's not himself, he's Jesse. I bet seeing your friend dead like that makes you want to scream, huh, Jess? No? Just cry? Well, that's a bummer. Jesse tosses his murder weapon at the mirror, and after hearing some sirens come around, pieces out through the window. He goes back to Lisa's place, and she is way too nonplussed by the twitchy dude covered in blood straight up admitting to murder.
I killed Grady. Lisa, I killed Snyder.
Jesse, what are you talking about?
Dog, he literally just said he killed 2 people. That's what he's talking about. Get the fuck out of there and call the police. Out back at her pool party, things are heating up.
So what's going on here? An orgy or something?
Haha, no, Rod. I'm talking about the temperature of the pool. And these wieners. Then the beer starts blowing up, probably from being carted around in a friggin' radio flyer, and all sorts of shit gets crazy. It's mostly things blowing up, but the kids also get locked in the pool area, which will be bad news proves later. Lisa tells Jesse that according to the good book of Nancy, all he has to do to fight Freddy is not give him any more energy. But then the poltergeist shit starts happening in their room, and all of a sudden, Jesse's no longer there.
He can't fight me, I'm here.
A chase ensues where we get classic Robert Englund physicality. He even bites into her ankle like it's corn on the cob. Lisa gets away and grabs a knife to defend herself with against Freddy, who's having a real temper tantrum and declaring that he has a new identity.
I'm Jesse now.
Also, Freddy's look varies slightly from movie to movie, and I kinda like how meaty and wet he looks in this one. He tells Lisa that killing him will kill Jesse too, and maybe that's why her stabs are so half-assed. He grabs her with his sausage fingers, and both his personalities get tender for a moment.
I love you, Lisa.
I love you, Lisa.
But then he tosses her across the room and heads outside to kill some teeth. Freddy's body count throughout the series is notoriously low, but if you ever want to watch him go on a killing spree, buckle up, because this is the one time he does it. He crashes through the door and disappears, only to re-emerge poolside, and goddamn, is it weird to watch Freddy among a whole group of people in the real world when he usually does his killing on an individual basis in the dream world. But let's not look a kill horse in the mouth, let's just count these boys up. First is a dude he corners against the fence and slashes in the face. Bam! Dude goes down. Another guy gets shocked by the fence, although he's okay. But when these 2 people fall into the boiling pool and then the pool catches on fire, yeah, I'm gonna count those 2. Fire's popping up everywhere, and although these people get away in time, I'm gonna say this chick, and yes, that's a lady, look at that boob right there, isn't so lucky since she falls into a spot that immediately goes up in flames. Another guy gets trampled and his neck audibly broken, so that makes 5 kills here, and then Stripey McStriperson runs gut first into some finger knives to bring Fred's kill streak up to 6. What's that, an airstrike? Freddy takes a breather, and you know what, maybe he's done for the night. At least this dude seems to think so, since he approaches Freddy like he's Jonathan Groff talking down a hostage situation.
Just tell us what you want, all right? I'm here to help you.
It doesn't go so well.
Help yourself, fucker!
He gets slashed and tossed against the grill, which doesn't look all that lethal, but I'll count it anyway, because this is the only chance Fred will have to bring home these kinds of numbers. The kids look on in horror as Freddy tells them about his mass adoption plan.
You are all my children now.
Then Lisa's dad shows up with a gun, but she stops him from shooting Fred because of the whole Jesse possession thing. Freddy takes the hint that he's not wanted at this party and leaves through the fiery hedge door that every rich backyard has. Lisa takes off to follow him, correctly surmising that he's gone back to the old power plant he used to work at. Too bad the place is being guarded by some creepy fucking dogs wearing Happy Death Day masks. What the fuck? But Lisa just walks right past them, so whatever, I guess. She walks around the plant in this awesome, super far away shot, and eventually Freddy gets in her face and corners her. She pleads for Jesse to come out of Freddy's body, saying that she loves him and shit, and it looks like that plan is working since Freddy starts oozing blood. He winds up in a corner of the boiler room, collapsing in weakness as Lisa continues to kill him with kindness, saying she's not afraid of him and that she loves Jesse and he can come out whenever he wants, blah blah blah, get to the gross kiss. Yeah, make out with that child murderer. Slip in the tongue, Lisa, that'll get Jesse out even quicker. Fred tosses her away and then fire surrounds him. It starts burning everywhere, in fact, and Freddy begins to melt as Lisa watches on. That's some good melted Freddy face. He erupts completely into flames and his body falls to the grated floor. After the fire goes out, the charred body left behind begins to move, and it turns out that it's Jesse. Oh good, Lisa, you got him back, just in time for him to be tried for at least half a dozen murders in the first. Yeah, hug him real tight there. He'll need this memory when he's in prison for the rest of his life. We're back where we started, with a school bus driving down a suburban street. Jesse's sitting with Lisa and Carrie, who seems to be totally cool with having just seen a bunch of her classmates get murdered the night before.
That was a really great party.
But then the bus starts speeding down the street and Jesse freaks the fuck out, telling the driver to stop, which he does. Jeez, Jesse, you wanna tell this guy how to do his goddamn job some more? Sit your ass down, or he will put your ass down. Lisa and Carrie assure Jesse that everything's cool now.
It's all over.
Boom! One more kill to count up, even though I'm not sure if this is a dream or if it counts or whatever, but I'm giving it to him because Freddy needs the number cooking. The movie ends with the bus going on another off-roading adventure as Freddy laughs and laughs and laughs. But while they're busy with their camping trip, we've got to get to the numbers. 10 people die in Freddy's Revenge, the only solo Freddy film to reach double-digit kills. The victims included 7 dudes and 3 ladies, more than 2 to 1 guys, and with a runtime of 86 minutes, that leaves us with a kill on average every 8.6 minutes. I'll give the Golden Chainsaw for coolest kill collectively to those first 6 partiers that get killed. I know it's weird to see Freddy at a pool party, but it's also kind of fun to see him use all his tricks to take down a bunch of kids at once. Dull Machete for lamest kill will go to the 7th guy, the Negotiator dude, since he just got whipped into a grill. And that's it. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, came out in 1985, a year after the original, and although I'm a fan, some people prefer to skip it and go straight into the 3rd film, Dream Warriors, which we'll be covering next week. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been the Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching my kill count for Nightmare on Elm Street 2. So this Freddy glove comes from RazorGloves.com. You might have heard me plug them in the video. Christopher Grantner sent these to me, and they are absolutely amazing. These are just a plastic piece of shit. This is the real deal, man. Compare and contrast. I just wanted these in the background for this one so I could surprise you with these ones. From now on, these are gonna live up here. None of this shit. Welcome to the Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, released in 1987. With a screenplay begun by Wes Craven and revised by Frank Darabont, Nightmare 3 completely ignores everything from Part 2, choosing instead to bring back Nancy and delve deeper into Freddy's backstory. Dream Warriors is the movie that began Freddy's status as pop culture icon, with him spitting out one-liners every kill and appearing in all sorts of different fun forms. Balancing out the Fred Krueger show is a solid cast of teens that includes Patricia Arquette in her first ever role. She plays Kristen Parker, whose unique ability to pull other people into her dreams leads to the creation of the titular Dream Warriors, a group of institutionalized kids who fight Freddy with their dream powers. While that may sound a little goofy, Dream Warriors has a much more well-balanced tone than the campy stuff that would come later in the series. It's also got some pretty damn memorable kills, so let's count some sheep and get to them. The movie begins with a Poe quote, "Highbrow nightmare." Then credits start playing over someone making, is that pancake batter? Oh, paper mache. That's a fun activity. Ooh, and popsicle sticks? Must be some kindergartners having a great time at summer camp. Or it's a full-grown woman. This is Kristen Parker, who's downing instant coffee chased with Coke to get this art project done. Her mom comes in and makes her go to bed, so Kristen's gonna have to wait until tomorrow to finish her perfect scale model of the Elm Street house. She must be one of those artists who finds inspiration in their dreams, because in hers, the Elm Street house looms large, with a lawn performance by the Jump Rope Girls, featuring a rare guest appearance by a Jump Rope boy. Kristen winds up inside the house's basement, where a girl in a floofy Beauty and the Beast dress is riding a tricycle. Then the furnace turns on, and the girl tells Kristen whose house. And it ain't Run's.
Freddy's home.
Kristen grabs the baby Belle and races through the Elm Street house as Krueger chases after her. Eventually, she finds herself in a room full of hanging corpses. Not enough corpses for you? Look down. Your child is now a corpse. Back to Kristen. She wakes up and the nightmare is over. Or is it? Because that handsy faucet and the funhouse mirror Freddy say otherwise. Freddy uses the faucets as his finger knives and slashes at Kristen right as her mom opens the door, making it look like Kristen was just attempting to commit suicide. To Weston Hills we go, a psychiatric hospital which the series would return to in Freddy vs. Jason. The staff at this place includes Dr. Gordon, played by not Bill Maher, and the orderly Max, played by Lawrence Fishburne, in a very transitional state between Cowboy Curtis and Morpheus. There's also another doctor there, Sims, who tells Gordon that they have a hotshot grad student coming to work for them. Guess who it is? It's motherfucking Nancy Thompson! White hair streak and all. And she shows up as Kristen is being admitted in a not-so-peaceful manner, throwing shit around and slashing Max with a scalpel. Nancy's able to provide some understanding and calm Kristen down with a hug. She's been through a lot. Then Max introduces Nancy to a couple more patients. Philip is a sleepwalker who makes marionette puppets, which will come back later in a fun way. And Kincaid, my personal favorite character, is a temperamental dude who Max says often winds up in the quiet room.
I do it so I don't have to look at your ugly face all the time.
Haha, Kincaid's the best. Such a goofster. Another patient is Joey, a mute dude with a teardrop tattoo and most of a mullet, and he's got the hots for a nurse who works there. Nancy talks to Doc Gordon, who tells her all the kids there have excessive nightmares, so they're always trying to avoid sleep. Nancy accidentally spills her purse, and Gordon sees a pill bottle labeled Hypnosil, which he learns later that night is an experimental drug used to suppress dreams. After Nancy leaves, Gordon notices a nun creeping in a corridor, which plants the seed for a very messy, very Catholic storyline to grow grow throughout the rest of the series. Meanwhile, Nancy goes to Kristen's house to pick up her stuff and finds the popsicle stick version of her old haunt in Kristen's bedroom. Yeah, I know, Nance, right? Pretty impressive paper mache. Turns out Kristen's downright obsessed with that house, and she's drawing a picture of it as she nods off in the hospital. Dreamtime comes, and she's visited by a trike leaving bloody streak marks. Then it melts, and she backs up out of her hospital room right into the Elm Street house. On the menu tonight is rotting pig corpse. But careful there, Kristen. This pork bites back. Another room she's in just kind of self-destructs around her before a big old Freddy worm busts out of the floor and friggin' body slams her to the ground. This gives us another classic visual from the series. Fred worm trying to swallow Kristen whole. It's at this point that Kristen calls out for Nancy. Nancy awakens from her nap in an IKEA chair. Seems like the popsicle house is calling out to her. And next thing you know, she's falling backwards through the chair, crash landing in an Elm Street house hallway where she checks out Kristen's kinky dream. Yep, Nancy is in Kristen's dream now, and after seeing the hungry worm, she immediately stabs it in the eye, causing Freddy to let Kristen go, then reel back and see her.
Oh my god.
As he charges at them, the girls get safely behind a door. Then Nancy wakes up and finds that a cut on her hand is carried over from Kristen's dream. Nancy immediately confronts Kristen with the popsicle stick model of her old house, and Kristen admits that she's had this dream recruitment power since she was a child, when she would pull her dad into her nightmares to keep her safe. Hey yo, Kristen, the US military would pay top dollar for that kind of power. Just saying. Time for some group therapy.
Groups in session. Straight talk only in this room.
It's our chance to meet all the other patients in this joint. Like Will, a geeky guy confined to a wheelchair after apparently trying to jump to his own death. There's also Jennifer, who plans to be an actress whenever she gets out of Weston, and finally Taryn, who has a history with drugs and chose to stay at Weston to avoid juvie. They talk with the doctors about their collective nightmare, and Dr. Sims says their scary dream man is probably just a manifestation of guilt and over-sexualized thinking.
Oh great, Nance, my dick is killing me.
That night, Will, Joey, and Taryn are playing a knockoff D&D called Wizard Master, until Max comes in and tells them it's time for lights out. As soon as he's out of the room though, Joey and Will argue over who's on first shift for staying up. Looks like these kids got themselves a buddy system to stay alive. Good on them. Too bad Phil and Kincaid aren't taking the same precautions, because don't look now, but it's Freddy Krueger as envisioned by Andre Toulon. I love the stop-motion Freddy puppet here, even if we only see it for a few seconds before Freddy scales up to full size at the foot of Phil's bed. He slashes Phil all over the place with his finger knives and then rips out his, I don't know, what is that, veins, muscles, tendons? I'm not an anatomist. And starts playing Phil like a marionette puppet. Kincaid wakes up and sees Phil sleepwalking, and the sight is pretty creepy, even without the tendons coming out of him. Of course, I much prefer my sleepwalking kills with gore, so it's great that we get some close-ups of the gnarly effects as Phil is compelled down the hallway and straight through the front door of the hospital. Joey, ever vigilant, sees Phil hanging out where he shouldn't be and friggin' drags Will to the window to see. We get a great scene of watching how capable these kids are. Will busts open the window to yell for Phil, while Joey manages to get the attention of the front desk nurse and everyone else in the hospital without ever speaking a word. It's too late though. He only succeeds in gathering an audience to watch out the window as Puppet Master Freddy completes this iconic kill, dangling Phil out over the open air before slicing off his vein strings and letting him fall to his death. The movie's first kill wasn't until a half hour in, but goddamn was the wait worth it. At group session the next day, the doctors are torn over whether it was a sleepwalking accident or a suicide, and Gordon shows that he has no idea how to talk to at-risk teenagers.
Philip quit. He gave up. Philip killed himself. Now that's a cowardly thing. That's an empty thing. He let himself down. He let all of us down.
Jesus, dude. Read a book on mental health, maybe. After the session, and at Nancy's insistence, Gordon says he's gonna prescribe Hypnosil. Sims is understandably against testing an experimental drug on a bunch of apparently suicidal teens, but acquiesces as long as Gordon takes full responsibility for whatever happens. In the rec room, Jennifer's watching TV as research for her future acting career and burning herself with cigarettes to stay awake. But it doesn't work, because while she's watching Dick Cavett interview Zsa Gabor, things get weird.
Can I ask you something?
Certainly.
Who gave that fuck what you think?
That's how you do a cameo. Jennifer gives the TV a whack to fix it, but then it sprouts some arms out the sides and grabs her, lifting her to the screen. A Freddy head emerges from the top and delivers one of the most quotable lines of the franchise.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
He smashes her head through the TV and kills her, and fun fact, Prime Time Bitch is the only Freddy line ever improvised by Robert Englund, and it wound up being pure gold. At Jennifer's funeral, we pick back up on that nun storyline when she shows up to Dr. Gordon and introduces herself as Sister Mary. She tells him only one thing will save his kid.
The unquiet spirit must be laid to rest.
Ooh, cryptic. And when Nancy walks up, you know that nun gonna disappear like a bad habit on New Year's Day. Yep, she gone. Nancy and Gordon have another private meal, and this one's got candles and a fireplace. So, what the fuck's going on here? Getting some serious Anakin Padme vibes. But maybe this is all just Nancy buttering him up, as she tells him it's time to quit dicking around and believe her and the kids about Freddy Krueger. Cue another group session.
Straight talk only in this room.
Nancy gives the kids the lowdown on old Fred Krueger between his child-killing first life and his dream-killing second life, and informs them that they're all descendants of the vigilante parent group that roasted Freddy alive.
You are the last of the Elm Street children.
Nancy says they may be able to defeat Fred through Kristen's convenient power of pulling other people into her dreams, and also because everyone has their own special power they can use in their dreams. Yeah, this stuff doesn't really follow the logic of the first film, but then again, none of the sequels do. So fuck it, let's get to some dream warring. Gordon uses a pendulum to put everyone to sleep, and although they don't think it worked at first, these floating metallic balls are a pretty good indication that they are indeed all sleeping together, dreaming together. Let's see what these kids can do in their dreams.
In my dreams, I can walk.
Okay, sure, yeah, that makes sense.
In my dreams, I am the wizard master.
Alright, Will, you already went. Maybe let someone else have a chance, dude. Kristen, got anything for us? Okay, some cartwheels and a backflip. Sure, yeah, I was thinking you could aim a little higher, but that's fine. Kincaid, what you got? You are bending a chair. Wow, okay, so y'all have pretty lame dreams. Taryn?
In my dreams, I'm beautiful.
Aw, well, you were good looking before, Taryn. The punk makeover certainly looked...
And bad.
Okay, when did everyone just decide to each get 2 turns? Can we please try to have some order here? At least Joey's dream is a little more adventurous, since he sneaks off to go sleep with that nurse he's been eyeing. Too bad you don't talk, Joey. It's the perfect opportunity to say, hello, nurse. But Freddy winds up being a wet blanket on this wet dream, since the nurse's tongue play gets a little too intense for Joey, and he winds up getting some lashes that tie him to the bed.
What's wrong, Joey?
Ah, shit, that's right. Now begins the part of the franchise where Freddy takes all the jokes I would have made. Freddy doesn't kill Joey, instead keeping him suspended over a pit for whatever reason, and the rest of the straight talking group gets trapped inside their room as the walls start closing in around them like a trash compactor on the Death Star. The whole situation ends when Dr. Sims enters the room to find it looking like an opium den. Joey's on the floor and not responding at all. Apparently he's in a coma now, an incident that gets Gordon fired by the hospital superior. To be fair,
in the last 4 days, we've had 2 suicides and now that young man is in a coma.
Yeah, if that dude didn't get fired, there'd probably be an angry letter writing campaign. On his way out the door, Gordon sees Sister Mary hanging out up by Phil's launching pad, so he goes up there to find her lighting some mood candles. She tells him this wing of the hospital was closed in the 40s after a young girl on staff was locked inside with the violent offenders who were kept there. Heads up for some sexual assault shit, because Fred Krueger's backstory ain't pleasant. The girl was raped by the inmates hundreds of times apparently, and was found days later pregnant with child.
The bastard son of 100 maniacs.
And just want to take a minute here to remind you that the way you were born doesn't predetermine who you are, you know? Children begot of rape or born out of wedlock aren't any more likely to be bad people or dream demons or whatever. Sister Mary also says that Fred's remains were never found after the fire and that they must be buried in hallowed ground to make things okay again. Got it! For some reason, Nancy's allowed to watch over Joey, and while she does, Freddy writes to her in Joey's chest, adding that special Freddy flair that really makes the message feel personal. She and Gordon convene and exchange information and realize that only one man would know where Freddy's remains are. Yo, you hear that? Is that an alto Saxon? Is that a tenor Saxon? Nah, son, it's a John Saxon. Nancy's dad, Lieutenant Donald T. Omson, is back, and he is drunk as a skunk.
Well, if it isn't my little girl.
My baby come to see her daddy?
Guess he's honoring Marge's legacy. He also refuses to believe any more Freddy Krueger shit, so he sends his daughter away. At the hospital, Kristen freaks out and gets put in the quiet room, so when Gordon calls the kids there, he can just call them straight direct? Taryn tells him what's up. Gordon sends Nancy back to Weston and says he'll keep working on Donald. Yeah, I'm sure Nancy's dad is gonna be real interested in talking to the 40-year-old dude running around with his daughter. Gordon doesn't wait to find out how Mr. Thompson feels about him though, instead getting rough with Donald, which I guess if you want to take that approach, dude. I know I wouldn't even dream of fucking with John Saxon like that, especially when the dude is probably blackout drunk. But hey, why not have him drive, right, Gordon? They stop at a church where Gordon fills a bottle up with holy water and steals a crucifix. Then they drive to a junkyard that apparently Donald has the keys to, and he tells Gordon that Fred's remains are in there, but really deep in there, and well hidden too. Sounds like this mission might take a while, so we'll check back with these guys in a bit. Nancy gets to the hospital and rounds up the remaining Dream Warrior kids for one last group session.
I guess one more night will do.
She asks them if they're still down to join up in Kristen's dreams and help save Joey, even though if they die in the dream, they'll die in real life too. They each confirm that they're in.
Let's go kick the motherfucker's ass all over Dreamland.
So she starts the pendulum of swinging, and it's off to Never Never Land. I'm still not sure how exactly this logic tracks, but they all wind up together with Kristen in her dream. Freddy's claws start slashing through the walls of the room they're in, sending feathers flying everywhere and apparently separating everyone from each other. Kristen finds herself back in her bedroom, just like in the beginning of the movie, but this time when her mom puts her to bed, she's yanked out of the room by Freddy.
I said, where's the fucking bourbon?
The sharp-dressed man decapitates Mama Parker and jumps on the bed to get Kristen, but she's got those sweet acrobatic skills with a Z and manages to escape through a window and wind up back in the Elm Street house. Taryn finds herself in a colorfully lit back alley set where she runs into Freddy.
Okay, asshole. Let's dance.
They have a little knife fight, as required by law of all back alley meetings, but it doesn't last very long before Freddy breaks out the good stuff.
Let's get high.
Then the track marks in her arms turn into little mouths. Oh, sick, dude. And Freddy stabs her with the needles, giving her a lethal overdose. A truly cruel death for the recovered addict, and an image that would probably make for a pretty sweet and ironic Dare shirt. Oh, hey, it does. Now it's on to Will, who finds himself in a hallway staring down the barrel at a scary-looking wheelchair. Freddy's there too, being evil and cracking jokes, and then the chair charges at Will. It manages to ground him on its first run, but after it turns around for a second charge, Will gets himself off the ground and turns into a stupid-looking wizard master whose zappy green finger bolts blow up the evil torture chair. Seriously, dude, last time I saw your wizard master outfit, it was on a box of Count Chocula. I mean, go ahead and wear it, I guess, as long as you don't say anything stupid.
In the name of Lorik, Prince of Elves, demon be gone!
Yeah, okay, go ahead and gut this dude, Fred.
Sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tales.
They're not fairy tales, they're fantasy epics, is what I'm sure Will is thinking as he bleeds out dying from Freddy's finger knife stab to the heart. Kristen and Nancy are able to reunite and are soon joined by a rampaging Kincaid who, oh yeah, is his way into the room. Kincaid's got a little bit of Jarvis in him.
Yo, Freddy! Where you hiding at, you burnt face pussy? Kruger! Pussy!
Ah, yeah, you tell him, Kincaid. Show him what it's like to get shit talked by a dude wearing suspenders. Freddy responds by placing a door in front of them, and through that door is a big old furnace cave where Joey lies captive over a pit of fire and doom. Fred shows up, and Nancy has a poor choice of words for him.
Let him go, Kruger!
Your wish is my command.
Freddy starts detonguing Joey's limbs. That's a weird fucking sentence to say, but luckily Nancy's able to reach him and save him before he hurtles down to the hellfire below. Kristen tags in with some flippy action against Fred as Kincaid uses his mildly enhanced strength to save Nancy and Joey and then hit Freddy with a pipe, but he doesn't do too much damage, nor does Nancy after she impales him with a steel rod, because Fred just pulls that shit out and licks himself off a little blood stain. Blood. Then we're introduced to another new element of Freddy's whole deal. Turns out he's got a chest full of screaming faces. Yep, they're the souls of all the kids he's killed and they give him power or something. And now back to our regularly scheduled program, Dad Bod Corpse Hunter, starring not Bill Maher as Grimacing Gordon and Johnny B. Saxon as Donald the Drunk. They pop open a trunk with Freddy's remains and start digging a proper grave for it, and it's at this point that Freddy and his soul chest realize something's going on, so he disappears from the dream world to go handle his business. Freddy full-on possesses his decrepit skeleton, and holy shit, when did this become Army of Darkness? Also, watch Gordon right here. Yes, I will never not find that face he makes hilarious. Donald gets into a halfway decent-looking fist fight with the skeleton before Skelly Kruger throws him against a hunk of junk and impales him on a metal bar, putting an end to Donald Thompson. Though thankfully, we'll see John Saxon in one more movie during the series. The skeleton makes quick work of Gordon too, knocking him into an open grave and doing a little victory taunt before reverting to a pile of bones again. That means he can start fucking with the Dream Warriors again, who are presently in the middle of a hall of mirrors. Freddy appears in all of them, laughing and waggling his tongue around, and even grabbing the kids and pulling them through with a real cool looking distorted effect. Joey's able to save them by finally speaking up, screaming out a Vadery no that breaks all the mirrors and spits the kids back into the hallway.
Did I say that? You found your dream power, man.
His dream power is to yell? Cool. Here, you want some more weirdness to your Elm Street movie? How about Ghost Donald Thompson, who appears to Nancy to say he's dead now? And hey, sorry for being kind of a dick your whole life. If you're thinking this is a bit too hokey for a nightmare movie, don't you worry. Turns out the Spectre is actually Freddy, who sticks his finger knives into Nancy's gut. Oh no, Nancy! He turns his attention to Kristen, but he should have known to double tap, as Nancy pops back up and stabs him with his own glove. And in the junkyard, her screams of anguish somehow wake up Gordon, who manages to crawl his way to victory by knocking Freddy's remains into the grave and dousing them with holy water, which results in some cool-looking beams of light bursting from Fred's body in the dream world. With a prayer to sanctify the whole process, Gordon puts Freddy to rest, and the Springwood slasher disappears from Kristen's dream. But it's too late for Nancy. As Kristen cries and holds her in her arms, it becomes clear that Nancy's a goner, and the subsequent funeral confirms that Nightmare 3 had the guts to kill off the original film's main character. Gordon sees Sister Mary in the cemetery and runs to catch up with her, but it turns out she's been a ghost this whole time, and that Sister Mary was actually Freddy's mother, Amanda Kruger. He goes to sleep that night with the popsicle stick Elm Street house on his nightstand, not seeing when his lights turn on. Oh honey, Freddy's home. Many Dream Warriors came out to play, but not all of them made it out alive. How many died? Let's find out and get to the numbers. In my dreams, I'm a strong boy. 6 people died in Dream Warriors, and the victims consisted of 3 males and 3 females, and even split between men and women fatalities. With a runtime of 96 minutes, that comes out to a kill on average every 16 minutes flat. I'll give the golden chainsaw for coolest kill to Jennifer. The whole thing looks so great, from the TV transformation to the after effect of the death. And of course, it's got the Freddy line that I find myself saying pretty much every day.
What's the prime time? bitch!
Dull Machete for lamest kill will be Wizard Master Will, partly due to his lame-ass Grandpa Munster cosplay, but also because we've seen finger knife stabs 1,000 times already. And that's it. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors was released in 1987, and I think you'll find that many Fred heads consider it their favorite. The next two films would follow closely in its footsteps, and we'll cover part 4, The Dream Master, next Friday. Until then, I'm James A. Janice. This has been The Kill Count. Thanks a lot for watching my Kill Count for Nightmare 3 Dream Warriors. I want to thank a couple of my patrons like Matt D and 1402 News. How many of you are watching the Nightmare movies along with the Kill Count series? If you're not, I really recommend you do. I think you can pick up a DVD of the whole series for like very cheap. Also, I really want to live stream the NES Nightmare game from like the 80s. So keep an eye out for that on the channel. See you guys next week. Be good people. Welcome to The Kill Count, where we tally up the victims in all our favorite horror movies. I'm James A. Janice, and today we're looking at A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master, released in 1988. The Dream Master continues the story from Dream Warriors, featuring the surviving characters from that movie, like Joey and Kincaid, and wait, who's that blonde chick? Oh, I guess that's supposed to be Kristen Parker, now played by Tuesday Knight instead of Patricia Arquette, for reasons people weirdly can't seem to agree upon, even though I think it's just because she was pregnant. After Dream Warriors made Freddy mainstream, the Dream Master turned him into the hero of the series. Experienced Finnish director Renny Harlin wanted Freddy to be a cool guy, quote, like James Bond, and so the one-liners continued and increased. The screenplay was seriously hampered by a writer's strike going on at the time, meaning some scenes weren't written until hours before being shot, and Harlin wound up relying more on surreal dream visuals than a storyline that makes any sense. But that's okay, those cool visuals led to some pretty sweet kills, so let's get to them. The movie begins with a quote, because I guess that's what we're doing in this series now. Kristen Mark II comes across a little girl in her chalk art exhibit of the Elm Street house before Mother Nature washes it away like a goddamn Philistine. And now the house is standing right in front of her, complete with some jump rope girls and a Ballin' Boy backup performer. Kristen winds up inside the house, unable to escape it as the doors play funhouse tricks on her. And then Tuesday Knight speaks to herself aloud to let the audience know she is the Kristen now.
Become Kristen.
A storm blows her back all the way into a boiler room, which spooks her out so much she ends up calling on our boy Kincaid and pulling him into her dreams.
Oh shit, Kristen, not again!
And also Joey, who's looking much older and is talking a bunch more. They tell Kristen that she needs to quit pulling them into her dreams because Freddy's dead and they're trying to get some goddamn sleep. Looks like they may be right, since the only thing that attacks them in this dream is Kincaid's dog, who bites Kristen's arm. Oh yeah, the dog's name is Jason. Wonder if that's a reference to anything. The next morning, Kristen goes to pick up her friend Alice Johnson, whose dad is a real prick.
You going out dressed like that?
Dude, she looks like she's going to a Catholic parish bake sale. What's your problem? That dad is so douchey, Alice's brother Rick exits his house through a window just to avoid him and gives Kristen a smooch because that's her boyfriend. They get to school and meet up with her friend Debbie, who stands there eye-fucking this jock Dan from across the parking lot. Looks like Alice is a Dan fan too.
You know, you are one major league hunk.
Thanks, Alice.
Even if she only has that kind of confidence in her daydream. Another friend, Sheila, rolls up on a smoky moped type deal, and judging by her big old glasses and asthma condition, it's obvious this chick's a nerd, but she a cutie too. There's a seemingly random moment where Debbie finds a bug in her bag of chips and gets super grossed out, and is literally just here to shoehorn in a character trait for Freddy to use in a kill later. That happens a lot in this movie. Looks like Kincaid and Joey go to the same school, having successfully reintegrated into society after being chased around a psych ward by a dream demon. They tell new Kristen to let Sleeping Freddy's lie, and that there's no reason to keep using her dream power anymore. After they leave for class, Rick calls them a bunch of weirdos, but might want to check the color of that kettle, dude, because you're the one doing an extended Karate Kid practice session to some Dramarama in the garage that night. Maybe this is just his way of dealing with having such a piss-poor excuse for a parent.
Looking for something?
Oh, no, Papa. Nothing except your love and approval. But instead, Daddy Johnson just berates Alice about the dinner she made for him.
You call this vegetation a meal after a 10-hour workday? What the hell am I, a rabbit?
Yeah, could we get Freddy in this dude's dreams ASAP? Alice seemingly takes matters into her own hands, but it's just another daydream. What's up with this chick? She's dreaming so much, she may just be a master of it by now. Oh, I think I get it. Speaking of dreams, Kincaid falls asleep and wakes up in one of his own, in the trunk of a car at the junkyard from the last movie, and Jason the dog seems to be digging up some old bones. Obviously, we're about to get Freddy back, but I wonder how they'll do it specifically. Oh, the dog pisses fire. Okay, Kincaid, you gotta stop putting kerosene in the kibble, man. The fire cracks open the ground where Freddy's skeleton is lying in pieces, but not for long. It reassembles itself and begins to grow organs and skin and blood in a manner very similar to Frank Cotton in Hellraiser, which had just come out the year before. Interesting. More fire gives Freddy his glove back, and with the donning of a dirty fedora, it looks like we're Looney Tunes back in action.
You shouldn't have buried me. I'm not dead.
He uses his powers to possess a bunch of junked vehicles, which trap Kincaid in the middle of a car maze so big and confusing that you could probably use it to trap a hotel-possessed father. Then he appears right next to Kincaid and stabs him in the gut. Fred stabs him again and is all like, there, Kincaid, I know, we're killing you off way too early in this movie. And with the third and final stab, we see Kincaid dying in his bed as his poor pup wonders what's happening to his human. Aw, poor Jason. Maybe if you wait 15 years, you can get revenge on Freddy. Well, if we got rid of Kincaid, might as well get rid of Joey too. He's fallen asleep with his MTV and steals a peep at this bikini model on the wall right before drifting off to dreamland. In his dreams, his waterbed's like a wave pool, and inside that bed is the woman of his very horny dreams. Before he can figure out a way to breach the barrier between them though, she sinks away, and up comes Freddy, who's got the most obvious one-liner in store for this kill.
How's this for a wet dream?
He pulls Joey into the waterbed and kills him with his finger knives. A pretty basic kill for Krueger, albeit a wet rendition, but at least we get this nice shot of a bloody waterbed at the end of it. And there's another cool shot when his mom comes in his room later to find him dead in the bed, thanks to Fred. The next day, Kristen's smoking a stress cigarette and she chats with Alice about how they've both been having nightmares. Then Alice drops the movie's title on us.
Did you ever hear of the Dream Master? It's a rhyme. Just have to dream about someplace fun. Remember, you're in control.
I don't get it. Is that the rhyme, or...? But instead of explaining herself more thoroughly, the two of them just keep incessantly talking about their dreams like they're a couple of young actors who just moved to LA. Actors. When they go to class, Kristen sees that both Kincaid and Joey are missing, so she freaks out, alright, and winds up knocking herself out in the corner. She comes to in the nurse's office, but does that lady look a little English to you? Yeah, she does, because she's Robert Englund, and that nurse is Freddy.
I want to draw some blood.
But Kristen would prefer a proper phlebotomist, so she wakes up from that nightmare, and that's that. Apparently, Alice works at this Back to the Future style diner where Dan the handsome man stops by looking for her brother, because I guess he and Rick are buds. Debbie, meanwhile, wants to be more than buds with Dan, and wonders aloud where he works out.
I mean, there is life after exercise.
Yeah, that line is another shoehorned character trait for Deb, since apparently these filmmakers have never heard of show don't tell. Rick and Kristen rush in with breaking news: Kincaid and Joey dead overnight. Find out more in Act 2. They take Alice and Dapper Dan to Freddy's house, where Rick talks about Krueger's backstory in case anyone in the audience was still in the dark during the fourth fucking movie of the series. The house prompts Alice to remember the Dream Master rhyme.
Now I lay me down to sleep. The master of dreams, my soul I'll keep. The Dream Master, I think I remember the rhyme.
Okay, wait, so that's the rhyme? Is that it? Before we can explore what the fuck Alice is talking about, Kristen's mom starts honking at them and doing her best Speedy Gonzalez impression.
Andale! Andale! Andale!
They have dinner where Kristen's mom pretends that Tuesday night has always been her daughter, Patricia Who, and drugs her with sleeping pills because it's way easier to parent when your kid's unconscious. Kristen runs up to her room where some well-done overhead camera movements really capture the feel of someone falling asleep while fighting to stay awake. Kristen loses the fight and wakes up on a beach, but there's something speeding around the water just offshore. Is it a shark? Is it a dolphin? Nope, it's a Freddy glove, and it's headed right for us. Freddy blows up a sandcastle and appears on the beach, and when Kristen tries to run away, she winds up in some quicksand. Freddy's all like, "Deal with it, bitch," and steps on her head to push her down through the sand. You'd think that might be it, but nah, she crashes through a ceiling, and we're back in that fucking house. God damn it. Hey, Elm Street franchise? Yeah, we don't actually care that much about the house. We're here for Freddy. Kristen runs downstairs, and surprise, surprise, she's in a boiler room, where Freddy appears and tells her to call one of her friends into the dream because the more the merrier. Kristen doesn't want to, but she accidentally summons Alice, who joins her in the boiler room.
How sweet! Fresh meat!
She gets there just in time to see Freddy toss Kristen into a furnace and show off his nasty soul chest. Then, okay, follow me here if you can. Kristen's all like, "Yo, Alice, you'll need my dream power," direct quote, and throws a spirit ball or something into Freddy, who then regurgitates that shit like an owl pellet back into Alice. So yeah, I guess that happened. Alice wakes up and finds a postcard picture from Freddy, so she grabs Rick and they run to Kristen's house. Sure enough, there's a light over at the Kristen Parker place, and that light is a raging inferno that they find consuming Kristen in bed. Bummer. Just like that, all the Dream Warriors are dead. But who will be our main character? Oh, probably the Dream Master chick, huh? Kristen is buried in the Springwood Protagonist Cemetery, and her death leaves Alice feeling different as she tells Rick.
Something happened in the dream, and now it's like part of her is with me.
Must be the part with the nicotine addiction, because at school the next day, Alice goes to light up in the bathroom, only stopping when she realizes...
I don't smoke.
You sure you didn't light up in that classroom too, Alice? Because this place looks hazier than a Sterling Cooper boardroom. With the big test underway, Sheila learns that she might not have studied the proper material. And how exactly is this happening? Well, because Alice is a real C- student and fell asleep in class, apparently pulling Sheila into her dream. The test really starts to consume Sheila. Her arm gets pulled into the paper, and then an Inspector Gadget robot arm nonsensically comes out and grabs her in the face. Watch it, Sheila. I don't think Professor Freddy's gonna appreciate all this class clowning around. He walks over to the star pupil and gets pretty predatory with her. There's that classic tongue waggle. Let's hear one of your famous Freddy one-liners. And with that, he starts sucking all the air right out of her, collapsing her dream body in a real gnarly way and leaving it looking like a Sheila-shaped hot water pad. In real life, Sheila's fully inflated but unable to breathe, and she dies in the classroom from lack of air. Alice realizes that she pulled Sheila into her dream and got her killed, so she runs away from her friends in an awkward crying mess. Her brother chases after her, looking like he's part of the Breakfast Club. At night, Dan comes to the diner to ask Alice why exactly Freddy might be after her.
Maybe Freddy Can't get to the new kids unless there's someone to bring them to them.
At school the next day, we get our obligatory Bob Shea cameo as he lectures on about more Dream Master bullshit. But none of it even makes any goddamn sense. Alice falls asleep in class while Rick falls asleep on the toilet, which can definitely happen if you're tired enough. Trust me, I know. Rick starts having a Freddy nightmare with a personal cheer squad in the stall. But wait a minute, I thought Alice could pull people into dreams without the other person falling asleep? Why do we need Rick to fall asleep? This fucking movie, man. Rick finds himself in a bathroom that looks like it'd be part of an underground club in 80s New York. Kristen's there, but she's all burny. Gross. And then the stall turns into an elevator that transports Rick down to a karate dojo. In one of the dumbest scenes of the franchise, Rick fights an invisible Freddy, swinging his limbs around wildly, accompanied by cheesy sound effects. This literally happened because they ran out of money and had already filmed Rick's funeral scene, so they need to kill him off. Look at how cheap this set looks. It's just a bunch of fucking veg shit. Eventually, the finger knife glove, minus one Freddy Krueger, launches itself into Rick's gut and kills it, ending the life of our pantomiming Ralph Macchio. Ralph Macchio? Business is booming for Springwood coffin makers. During Rick's funeral, Alice has a daydream where we get this unfortunate moment.
Guys, ang problema lang.
Hello, baby. Oh God, please make it stop. There's really no point to this Rick hallucination, so we'll just stick him back in the coffin and pretend like that never happened. Now the only friends Alice has left are Dan and Debbie, and we don't even know anything about these two.
I mean, look, I don't spend hours working out to let some night stalker beat me.
Oh yeah, that's right. Debbie's apparently into exercise, even though we're an hour into this movie and we've seen no visible evidence of that. At home, Alice demonstrates that she's still absorbing the paper-thin character traits of her dead friends and family because now she's good at karate, or at least her stunt double is. Alice goes to meet Dan at the diner, but when he's not there, I guess she decides it's a good time to take in a movie. Ooh, Reefer Madness. I hope it's the Kristen Bell one. Nah, looks like it's the one from the 30s, which is actually a little inside joke since Bob Shea had distributed copies of that movie to help finance New Line Cinema early on. But then the movie turns into a reel of the diner gone desolate, and Alice's snacks start getting sucked towards the screen. Yo, killing is one thing, Freddy, but that soda probably cost like $10, alright? Not cool. Eventually, the movie pulls Alice herself into the screen in a great effect. This movie may be nonsensical, but it does have some cool visuals. She looks out at herself sleeping in the theater like it's one of those crazy shots from Dreamcatcher, and inside the diner finds an old version of herself. What does she come across next? The monolith and the space baby? Freddy shows up and gets his order of meatball pizza. Bet you got a couple of jokes lined up for us here, huh, Fred?
I love soul food.
Aw, sick. And then he eats that little Rick ball. Gross. He tells Alice to bring him more victims, and she accidentally opens the door to Debbie, who, holy shit, is actually working out, even though her form is pretty suspect. That is one narrow freaking grip you've got. Alice gets back to the diner. She and Dan get into the truck. They rush to go save Debbie, and Deb's too busy with her gains to notice Freddy's come to spot her. Alice and Dan get to Deb's house. Alice runs across the lawn to save Deb, then Alice gets back to the diner. She and Dan get into the truck. They rush to go save Debbie, and Deb finds Freddy giving her some resistance training and delivering the obvious no pain, no gain line as he rips her arms apart at the elbow. I absolutely love this effect. It's so well done that it's almost hard to watch. Look at them floppy broken arms. Then, because Freddy wants to work both of Debbie's shoehorned character traits into her death, he makes this so cockroach arms sprout out of her stumps and her shoulders. And there goes a hand. The transformation leaves Deb running around a dim hallway looking like a rejected Spider-Man villain. Alice and Dan get to Deb's house. Alice runs across the lawn to save Deb, then Alice gets back to the diner. She and Dan get into the truck. They rush to go save Debbie. Deb finds herself inside a roach motel, looking out at her empty bench and no doubt thinking about all the reps she's missing out on. Her feet get trapped in that nasty sap stuff, and then she falls face first into it. When she tries to lift her head out of the glue, her face just comes straight off. Nice, completing her buggy transformation. Meanwhile, Alice gets back to the diner, but before she and Dan can get into the truck, they finally catch on to the fact that they're asleep, and Freddy has them running in circles. Cockroach Deb finally meets her end after struggling with her motel's amenities for a while. Freddy's giant eye peeps in as he bungles an Eagles lyric.
You can check in, but you can't check out.
And he finishes her long drawn-out death sequence by crushing her within the box. Alice and Dan see Freddy standing in the middle of the road, so Alice floors it to wreck his shit, but instead she just wrecks the vehicle. Oh, and apparently she did that because she inherited Debbie's rage. That whole thing is so dumb. In reality, Alice actually crashed the truck into a tree, which nearly killed Dan. GFJ, Alice. At the hospital, Alice realizes the doctors are going to put Dan under anesthesia, which will leave him susceptible to a Freddy infection, so she rushes off to go prepare herself for a fight. And since time is so limited, you know what she needs: a montage. She gets dressed and accessorizes with all the crap her dead friends have left her, and then looks into the mirror and pretends to be cool.
Fucking A.
Dan is put under and wakes up in dreamland to I'm sorry, Doc, what'd you say your name was again?
Well, it ain't Dr. Seuss.
Then Alice jump kicks through her mirror and winds up in the hospital room, okay, and unties Dan from his hospital bed. They run through a pipe with some Klasky Supo squigglies cut out in the sides, and when Freddy appears on the other end, he starts spinning it around like it's some kind of crazy tunnel at DZ Discovery Zone. This is just silly, dude. What is Freddy even doing here? The kids crash through a stained glass window and fall into a church. Dan cuts himself deep in the process, and after it bleeds through into the real world, his doctors wake him up from the anesthesia. This yanks Dan out of the dream world and back to reality, leaving Alice alone as Freddy strolls into the church with a one-liner.
Welcome to Wonderland, Alice.
She uses her newly inherited karate skills to do a bunch of flippy dips and then punch and kick the crap out of Freddy like dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Although none of it seems to faze him, since he just keeps laughing his dickish laugh the entire time. Eventually, he tosses her across the room, but she gets back up and uses some MacGyver science bullshit to rig up a Ghostbusters-looking blaster that zaps a hole straight clean through Freddy's torso. Freddy don't care though, he just waxes it off and tells Alice that he is eternal. But of course, Alice has to be triumphant somehow, and the way it happens is drenched in weak sauce. Some jump rope girls on break in the rafters remind Alice of that Dream Master rhyme she's been yammering about this whole movie, which apparently ends like this.
Evil will see itself.
And it shall die!
Yep, you heard right. Evil will see itself and die. And I guess that's what's happening here as we rollick through Freddy's digestive tract and see all the souls that he's eaten. The souls start punching out of Freddy's body, and although I'm not a fan of that Dream Master rhyme ending, or really the whole chest full of souls thing in general, I will say that the effects here are absolutely awesome, and a great example of how combining different effect techniques can result in something beautiful. Oh, and one of the escaping souls is played by Scream Queen Linnea Quigley. She shows her boobs, of course. Eventually, all the escaping souls rip Freddy's jaw off and escape through his broken mouth hole, leaving nothing behind but an empty sweater and a lonely finger knife glove. I am including this as a kill, and in retrospect, probably should have counted Freddy's death in Dream Warriors too. My bad. The happy soul heads fly past Alice as they escape through the window into the night sky. Alice leaves the church, which leads into a denouement that shows her and Dan together talking about how easy sleep is.
And that's about it. Okay, let's try it till next time ulit. Oh yeah, by the way, wala ako medyo focus dito, pero di ako naglalagay ng wallpaper dito sa loob. Oh. The additional pa sa DLC, oh. Let's make this for example. See? That's wallpaper. Nagsayang ako ng pera. Next week na lang, next time na lang ito. Na-feature natin yung bagong MS Smart OS 2.0 at saka yung DLC. Good night!